Going to start off with this clip showing Eddie Hall having the same phenomena that I'm going to be talking about happen to him, showing that it doesn't just happen to the amateurs, it happens to the pros. So now that we got our famous evidence, we can get started looking at the clip. So I want to explore an interesting facet, maybe an observation that I made with something as simple as people deadlifting and passing out. And that has to do with energy creation, energy transfer through the body, energy cultivation. In that, in yoga, for example, they talk about things like Kundalini, right? The DNA spindle that goes up the spine, the snake rising up the back of the spine, exploding into the head, causing trance, ecstasy, higher learning, all these kind of things. And I feel like it's similar here with why people pass out when doing the deadlift. Because generating so much tension and force while underweight, and obviously the pressure stemming from the low of the body, you can kind of see in some of the people like this guy here, the back sort of retorts, and sometimes the pelvis will tuck under, and it's like it'll shoot up the spine, causing sort of like what happens when people get really high. If you ever seen someone take ayahuasca, check YouTube, see people have, ecstatic experiences, they often reach a point of they get so lit up that they faint. And it's like a psychedelic experience, like you can even see from this guy here, right? He's like shaking, his fingers are moving in unique ways, he's covering his head. It's likened to when you see people on a psychedelic trip. Now, humans are one of the biggest producers of DMT. And the reason why the Kundalini was important in the ancient teachings and whatnot is that it stores, based on what they're saying, in your low chakras or energy centers. So, really, at the base of your spine. So, by doing work to connect it, basically elongate the spine, straighten it, and then all that energy shoots up to your head, causing a sort of effect. And I feel like that's what's happening with these deadlifts with some of these people here, right? They're building up the tension, getting lit, boom. And then all this, form, retrospective of form doesn't fucking matter. It's they're shooting it up and getting lit up and then having to lay down. And it's similar to what happens in the UFC or any MMA fight, but it's top down, right? So with the deadlifting, it's bottom up. It transfers from the floor to the spine up to the head. But you notice it's the opposite effect when guys get hit really hard in MMA. It's from the top down. You get hit in the head, then all the energy is trying to transfer and ground itself, and the same sort of lit feeling happens, which makes the legs weak because you're flooding the brain with energy, overloading it with stimulus to the point that the legs weaken to get you to what? To sit down. You've taken too much energy. You've received too much stimulus, and you've got to calibrate. So your body's trying to get you down to the ground in order to take that all in, right? So now that you're seeing this with the knockouts, it'll hopefully give you more of an understanding as to what could be going on with the deadlifting and the passing out. Because for even people that don't fully pass out all the way, I'm sure for you guys that have lifted heavy, you felt like a head rush when heavy squatting once you get to the top, or deadlifting, when that spikes your hormones and gets all the juices flowing. And these guys it was just too much tension. But is too much a bad thing if it's creating, whether they signed up for it or not, a mind altering experience, basically lifting themselves high. And there's evidence of ancestral practitioners, whether you call them shamans, mages, sages, wizards, whatever, and they would do similar things, right? Things would be as simple as spinning around to the point of needing to fall down on the ground, to literally sometimes hitting their head on a wall in order to, just enter into these enhanced states, these trance states. A more modern example would be James Brown, to where he danced so much to the point that he would faint. Now, he did utilize this for showmanship, but he just decided to show it on stage instead of behind stage for, again, just the crowd response. But it still was genuine. He would dance himself high, basically. So yeah, by watching this, it looks like it could stick that the evidence of these passing out spells that happen to deadlifters and heavy weightlifters could be the result of literally lifting themselves high and then being flooded with energy, flooded with stimulus, overloaded, and the body just needs some time. The brain just needs some time to basically take it all in, to recalibrate and process all the stuff that's gone on. Shooting the energy up the spine and making all the jujubes happen, you know what I'm saying? Ow!